I always just do a quick scan through the comments before we start these videos, just so I kind of figure out what
some of them are pretty funny.
Yeah, some of them pretty. One of them is pretty funny. We'll get to that. We get the funny one here in a moment. Okay, so Rook Organek says new to breeding, great video. Now I know there is no pump. He's talking about collecting semen, proper technique. Yeah, you got the proper technique. Good for you. Somebody else, Tal Geo, says the most informative channel. Greatly appreciate you guys. Well, you're very welcome. We do it because of you. Just had a quick question here from the UK. Just curious why you guys stopped breeding poodles and if they were toys, minis or standards. Thanks. That was a long time ago.
Oh. What,
and we really didn't poodles, and we really didn't raise poodles.
No.
We did we have one litter?
No, we had Shih Tzus. I had poodles before I met you.
Yes.
I just had one litter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting because you know how it is. What happens is that you know you have.
That wasn't even when the internet was really going at all.
Well, that's when dinosaurs were roaming the earth.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was either we had to raise a dinosaur or raise a poodle and a Shih Tzu. And Tammy decided quite wisely that a Velociraptor was not the right thing to have in our house, so she went with the smaller dog. Many moons ago. Moons and moons and moons.
See, my oldest was probably maybe 9 years old. That was my oldest.
You had litters though, didn't you?
One.
Well, we had a litter of poodles, you and me. You forget. We actually bought a poodle that died. Remember that? Anyway, look, here's the deal. What happens to you people is, I say you people, I mean that. What happens to us, it was, and I'm sure a lot of you experience the same thing. You love dogs. You have a dog. You then breed the dog because you're interested in it, and then you find a particular breed that you absolutely fall in love with. And so for us, it was a search. We were Shih Tzus, poodles,
we even
Papillons,
one time, yeah.
King Charles Cavaliers. We did an
Aussie, little miniature Aussie.
Yes.
You know, you'll find your breed.
And so what we found were labs. We found labs. When Tammy and I first met some 20 plus years ago, we both had labs.
30 years ago.
And our labs got hooked up and got us together. So that's the backstory behind us. And labs went on for what, 5 years?
8 years.
8 years on labs. Did very well at it. Had these different colors. At the time they were totally white labs,
we had the
fox reds.
Foxtail reds.
But
white,
then Tammy
chocolate.
saw her first French bulldog, and the love affair was on.
Oh my gosh.
The love affair was on. So.
And that was 17 years ago.
Yes, that was 17 years ago, and now we're Frenchy people.
Right.
But we love all dogs. Don't get me. I mean, there's some breeds, and I'm not going to say what they are because I'll offend people. There's some breeds that I think are a bit scary, and it worries me about having those breeds around children. I like dogs. And when I see a dog, I want a dog to like me.
It's what makes the world go round.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I want a dog to like me. And when I see a dog that doesn't like me, that worries me because all dogs need to like me because I like all dogs. Anyway, there we go on that one. Here's a good... this is the one I was laughing about. This guy says 10 kids on a drought in California. Why did I search this up? I feel like now I'm on the FBI watch list. It was me inseminating a dog. It's one of those ones where if you're not doing dogs and you're coming up with that video, you might be putting the wrong...
Make sure your kids aren't around.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that was funny. Yeah. Somebody else, Ninja Blevin, said, I think this put me on the list. So there's somebody else with a similar kind of content. Okay. Kim Carlisle says, do you say that a Frenchie could not have DM? Not exactly. What I said was, and there's a video that I said is called the DM, the hoax. The thing about DM on Frenchies is that they can absolutely test it and have it, but they will not suffer from it. Now there's controversy over this, and so people are going to tell me that I'm full of crap. And go look at the studies. There's studies that have been done, proper studies, peer-reviewed studies at universities, not studies from somebody like me, but proper peer-reviewed studies that show that dogs that they think have had DM, in fact, had some other spinal defect. It was not DM. There are tests for it, animal genetics, and amongst other ones, do a 4-panel that they include DM. I think they should not do that in Frenchies because Frenchies don't suffer from DM. And remember, if your dog has a single copy of DM, then it could never get DM. It has to have 2 copies on any dog before it actually be potentially afflicted with the disease. And if it's a Frenchie, it will not get it.
It's usually in larger breeds.
Yeah, so people are going to complain about this on the video, so I'm going to get some kickback from it, but I can tell you. Anyway.
Yourself. Yeah.
Neon Pilot says, this is so wrong, stop breeding dogs like this. Okay, how do you want to breed your dogs? If your dogs, I don't know, Neon, I think you don't know, you're not really...
You'll be asking people
whatever,
having
Neon.
babies.
Yeah. So, Jenny Rickett says, what do you do if my dame doesn't let me take her temperature?
Okay, it's like a child.
Yeah.
What do you do when your child doesn't mind?
So you'd be tempted to get one of those scanning thermometers and stick it on a forehead.
Take it to the vet.
That won't work. You've got to take a rectal thermometer. You've got to do this rectally. If you're not greasing the thermometer up, that will cause some distress on a dog. And the best time to do this is just after the dog has pooped, because its butthole is dilated at that point. So you might try to follow the dog outside, and the moment it's pooped, go sneak in there and stick the thermometer up. It's my recommendation on that. But have somebody hold the dog, wrap the dog up in a. I mean, I know
that. Don't succeed that way. Take it to the vet and take the temperature.
I know. Don't get me wrong here. I've got dogs occasionally. It's very hard to take their blood, and they can just really go berserk.
That's taking blood.
They see, yes. No, but it's the same thing though. The dog is under the impression that something terrible is going to happen to them, and they don't want any part of it. So I understand. I'm not being flippant here. I understand the problem, but it's typically not like drawing blood. You probably not want to get bit over this. But if you really have a problem, wrap the dog up in a blanket, in a towel. Have somebody hold the dog down on the floor so he can't wriggle around, and go to town on the dog.
Go to town. Take her 10.
Yep. June Broom says, my 6-day-old pup. I'll let Tammy answer this one. Let's see what Tammy says on this. You ready, Tammy? I've got a 6-day-old pup. He's acting like she has a cold. She sounds congested, but she's still feeding off mum. Sometimes it's hard for her to breathe through her nose. I took her to the vet and they told me to give her 3 drops of child cold medicine, but it doesn't seem to be working. What do you think I should do? There's a response in here that I like, by the way. Let's see what Tammy comes up with on this.
I want to hear the response.
No.
Well, I mean, it sounds
yes,
like
that's like cheating. It's like looking across at somebody else.
Are you ready for me to answer?
Yes.
Are you over talking me? It sounds like to me that the puppy is nursing a mama and getting milk up through its nose and getting, what do you call it?
Pneumonia. Milk aspiration.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. So that's exactly what this is. This is milk. What you've got going on here is you've got milk aspiration that's now going to be causing pneumonia, and the dog needs antibiotics. So somebody had commented, Holy Eppinger said, I tried different vet, and I agree. I think your vet's completely missed the point here.
Yeah.
This is a situation that can get out of hand in a hurry.
Right.
Dogs that have got discharge coming out of their nose have got a secondary infection, which can develop into pneumonia because they've got milk in their lungs, and they need to get antibiotics on board. And with that, you'd probably be fine. Without that, you might lose the puppy. So, Eppinger's right, Tammy's right, your vet's wrong. And don't go tell the vet I said that. I don't want to get a cease and desist order from the vet, so please don't go tell the vet I said that.
You weren't the only one that said that. The other person said it too.
Big Daddy Bulldogs worldwide. Good question here. It says, with them not actually having intercourse, should you worry about brucellosis? So the question is brucellosis,
dogs that have brucellosis,
is brucellosis only contracted through sexual intercourse? What's the answer to that one, Tammy?
Well, you're taking chances on, if they're playing around with each other, eating after each other, drinking water after each other, licking on each other's areas and stuff, yeah.
So the answer to the question is brucellosis only transmitted through sexual contact? And the answer is?
No.
That's right, it's not. It's nose to nose, spit, saliva. No, I think that if you've got any dogs that are going to be around each other and they're more than 6 months old, I would recommend you do a brucellosis test. Chances that have brucellosis is pretty slim, but if they have it, it's a nightmare. You don't want any part of it.
Yeah. Well, it's just like some of the breeders that you see let their studs look around on the female, and it's like, don't do that.
Yes.
You're taking
Well,
big chances.
they're going to do that, aren't they?
Yeah.
If you put a stud in the male, if you're going to,
you better be using your own female that you know that does not have
That's what we do.
brucellosis.
That's what we do. When we're using a teaser female, we don't use your female. We use one of our females.
Yeah.
Because I promise you that you introduce a stud to a female, he's going to turn around and start and be interested in her. He'll be interested in him, and there's going to be some licking going on of private parts.
Yeah.
And that is good enough to get transmission of brucellosis.
Right.
So what Tammy says is exactly right. Just don't do it.
Right.
My spot mural rule says this is weird. Let them do it the way they're supposed to, dog on dog. So here we are. We're back to this. I don't want to be cruel, but you don't understand the problem. Make a comment like that. And the problem is this: there's a number of problems with dog on dog contact. The first one is what we just had a discussion about, which is sexually transmitted diseases. But the bigger one is that French bulldogs and some other breeds physically cannot get it done. They'll try, and their hardest to get it done. And I can tell you, in those situations, if you let them go at it, that what you're likely to find happens is the male dog can get totally exhausted in an attempt to try to connect.
Yeah, hit and miss,
and then he misses and he spits it out on the ground just when you wanted to do a breeding. His semen ended up on the ground. You can't suck it up in a straw and put it back in the go. You're done for that day. You just missed your opportunity.